This is our next lesson. Our previous lesson was talking about writing essays, but today we're going to talk about quantifiers, grammar. So first, the question we wanted to ask ourselves is, what's quantifier first? What's a quantifier? A quantifier is a word or phrase which is used before a noun to indicate the amount or quantity. Amount or quantity. Amount or quantity. Some examples are some, money, a lot of, a view are examples of quantifiers. Quantifier can be used with both countable noun and uncountable noun. Some quantifiers are used with countable nouns. This include few, a view, a couple of, several of, money, most, and all. Some quantifiers are used with uncountable nouns, such as a little, little, a little, a bit of, much. Some quantifiers work with countable nouns and uncountable nouns. Some examples of quantifiers with uncountable nouns: much can be used only uncountable nouns. Do not use plural countable nouns. If you see a plural countable nouns, do not use much. Do not use little. A little, little, and very little. Not a very little, but very little. A bit of, a great deal of, a large amount of, a large quantity of. All this we're going to use uncountable nouns, not plural countable nouns. Both countable nouns and uncountable nouns. All we're going to use countable nouns and uncountable nouns. For example, all the money was stolen. All the people are on board. Enough, more or most, less, least, no, none, not any, some, any, a lot of, lots of, plenty of. We're going to use both countable and uncountable nouns. What about countable nouns? Some quantifiers can be used countable nouns, and these are money. Do not use uncountable nouns, money. We're going to use only plural countable nouns. A view, few, very few. A number of, several of, a large amount of. We're going to use this one uncountable noun. I mean plural countable nouns. Plural countable nouns. For example, many people. A few books, a number of histories, several teachers, and a large number of goods. We're going to use plural countable nouns. Note, little, very little mean that there is not enough. It's not enough. So, two reasons. Number one, uncountable nouns. And number two, not enough. So whenever you are going to use little and a very little, you're going to use two reasons. You have to consider two reasons. The first reason is there any uncountable noun in here? Like money, like oil, like soil, like light. We're going to use this. And the other reason is not enough. It's a negative idea. For example, I have a little money, so I cannot go to school, or I cannot catch the bus. I have a little money. I have little money, so I can't buy a drink. I can't buy a drink, some drink. A little means that there is not lot of some, but there is enough. It's enough. This is positive idea. So when you are going to use a little, you have to have uncountable nouns. And the other reason is that noun should enough. For example, I have a little money, so I can buy some water or some drinks. A few and very few mean that there is not enough. But remember, we're going to use these two plural countable nouns, and the other, but not enough. A few means that there is not a lot of something, but there is enough. So this can be used with uncountable nouns, and this can be used with plural countable nouns, but not enough. So a few, not enough. So you have two reasons. Whenever you see plural countable nouns, you have to use few and a few. And the other thing that you are going to consider is it enough or both a negative idea, a positive idea, or is it a negative idea? Exercise. Let us work together. Fill the blanks with correct quantifiers. If we have understood this lesson, we're going to do this exercise. First, they have had homework in mathematics. So we have much, money, lots of, and little. So can you answer? Here is uncountable noun. Remember, whenever you see the word homework, it's uncountable noun. So we need a little, a lots of, and much. But which one is correct? Still, I didn't tell the answer. So much money cannot be used in here. Why? Because there is no plural in here. So the reason that you are not going to use money, there is no plural noun in here, but uncountable. And we cannot use a little, because little is not enough. It's a negative idea. We're going to use a negative idea. So what about much? Much, majority of people, we're going to use much in terms of questions and negatives. I don't have much money. Do you have much money? So the answer is C. Lots of homework in mathematics. But much can be possible. But the most important, the most suitable answer is lots of. Because much can be used negative or interrogative. Like, do you have much money? I don't have much money. Like that. How time do you need to finish the word? We have much, money, lots of, and little. So how are we going to use? Time is uncountable noun. So do not use much money. Do not use money. Because time is uncountable noun. So if you have plural, we're going to use money. But here, time is uncountable. And lots of, or little. Little can be used countable, and much can be used countable, and lots can be used uncountable. Both. Much can be used only uncountable nouns. Lots of can be used both. Little can only be used uncountable nouns. So here is time. Time is uncountable. We have two reasons to consider this one. Number one, here is a question. Interrogative sentence. Since you have an interrogative sentence and uncountable nouns, the answer could be much. So how much time do you need to finish the word? Because we have uncountable nouns and we have a question. Two reasons. Okay. There are students in the library. We have much, money, lots of, little. And here is a plural. So since you have a plural in here, do not use much. Do not use much. And do not use little, because little and much can only be used uncountable nouns or unlimited nouns. So we have money and lots of. Which one is correct? There are many students in the library, or there are lots of students in the library. So money is possible because there are many students in the library, although we forget too. Lots of is also possible because here is students say plural. So we're going to use money, and also we're going to use a lot of, lots of. Okay, have you visited foreign country? How many quantifiers do we have? Money, little, any, and lot of. Which one is correct? The question, the sentence is an interrogative. So we don't use money. And we don't use little. Any, whenever you are going to use any, you have to consider two reasons. Number one, is there an interrogative sentence? And number two, is there a negative sentence? Two reasons. Number one, is there an interrogative sentence? And number two, is there a negative sentence? So this is an interrogative sentence. So we're going to use any. Have you visited any foreign countries? Yeah. Do not say, have you visited many foreign countries? It's possible. But have you visited any foreign country? Although he's very ill, he hasn't taken medicine. This is a negative. Two clauses. And this is dependent clause, and this is independent clause. So whenever you use the last clause is negative. And this is a complex sentence. So although he is very ill, he hasn't taken any medicine. We're going to use any, because there is a negative. What about people know as much about linguistics as Monet does? We don't use any, because any cannot be used in this case, because there is no negative sentence. It's not a negative sentence, an interrogative sentence. We don't use little. We don't use little. Why? Because people is a plural countable noun. Person is a singular. Person is a singular. And people are the plural of person. So do not use any and little. But we're going to use few or many. But the most suitable answer is, or the most possible answer is few. Why? Because we're going to consider this idea. Few people know the linguistic or language as Muna does. So, few people. Muna, for example, has a different language, like French language, Arabic language, Russian language, and English language. So we consider in this case, that's few people, not many people. Few people know as much about linguistics as Muna does. So we're going to use few. Okay. What about number 7? They say a knowledge. So you have uncountable nouns and you have article A. So do we use few? No, teacher. Why? Because few can be used with plural nouns and knowledge is uncountable nouns. So how are you going to use? Wrong. What about any? Any cannot be used because this sentence is affirmative. It's not either negative or interrogative. What about much? Much. Much we cannot use, although here is uncountable noun, we cannot use much because much knowledge is not dangerous, but little knowledge is dangerous. So if you have a little knowledge, you are at risk, because if you know only 2 verses of Quran and you say I know all the Quran, and someone asks you verse of Quran and you don't know that, for example heredity, when you fight the heredity, so this is dangerous. Or if I say I know physics, I'm English teacher, but I say I know physics, but I know only 1 chapter, electricity. So this is dangerous. When I wanted to teach the student physics, I don't know the physics, but I'm English teacher. So I'm gonna say a little knowledge is dangerous. So you have 2 reasons, uncountable knowledge and dangerous. Remember these 2 things. Okay, what about I spend of my time reading Quran? We don't use a lot of. Why teacher? Because here a positive adjective. So if there is a positive adjective, we cannot use a lot of mine. Not a lot of time, that's right. A lot of time is right. But a lot of my time is not right. So we're going to use, what about much, teacher? No, much. It's not much. Here is a time. But there is 2 things, preposition and me and my. So we get, the correct answer is D. Because I spend most of my time reading Quran. Most of my time. Yeah. 17 hours. I spend 17 hours reading Quran, or 10 hours reading Quran. So that's most of your time. So we're going to use most of. He knows English. What about this one? We cannot use money, and we cannot use much. Why? No, the C and D is incorrect. Are incorrect. Why? Because English is uncountable noun. So as soon as you have uncountable nouns, we cannot use few and money. What about much? A little. He knows, yeah, a little English, but much is also possible, because there is no reason that you can classify the both of them. Okay, thank you very much. That's the end of our lesson quantifiers. So we will meet next week, inshallah ta'ala. So I say to you, thank you very much for your watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.